Please like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the videos. Serious, people of Reddit that had a near-death experience? What happened? So I live in Iceland, and when I was about 6 to 8 years old. So I was climbing a mountain, then I decided to look down a cliff and I slipped. I managed to grab some roots that were on the edge and started hanging off the cliff. In my head I was there for hours, but it was probably somewhere around 3 to 5 minutes. I started crying and calling for help. Then a random hiker walked somewhere above the cliff and saw me and then ran over to me, grabbed my wrist and pulled me up. I got away from the cliff and started crying. The hiker sat with me and hugged while I cried. Then she walked me to my dad, who was fishing with two of my brothers. He saw me crying and ran over to me, and I told him everything. He was not mad, of course. My dad thanked the woman constantly for about 30 minutes. Then she had to go. We said goodbye and thanked her one last time. I don't know how to end this, so I am just going to stop now. Thank you for reading. Random person. Hey, finally. One where I'm overqualified for. So, I actually have died. It was a few months ago. April 17th to be exact. I was having a loop recorder implanted in my chest because my heart is genetically fucked up. The surgery went well, no complications. I was 2 hours into recovery when bam. Heart attack. It was a combination of the stress from the day, the anesthesia, bad reaction with my heart, and the fact that they gave me regular Coke instead of caffeine-free Coke, also reaction with my heart. I was dead for around 5 minutes and 42 seconds, and I remember most of it. It's a little fuzzy near the end of it where I actually came back, but I have a general idea of what went on. I could elaborate if you want me to and explain, but it's late and I would like to sleep tonight, so I'll probably do it TMRW. Edit, elaboration time. Well, yes, I'm doing this now. So it started off rather painful. My chest squeezed really bad, and I just dozed off into what I thought was going to be permanent sleep. I woke up in this void. Completely black and silent. Take the quietest room you've ever been in, then put soundproof headphones on. That level of noise right there is basically screaming compared to what I could hear. I still had my physical body, whatever the equivalent was in the void as I call it. And it felt like I was constantly floating aimlessly underwater. I could sort of move if I really tried, but it took much more effort than if you were actually underwater. Maybe like in quicksand? I don't know. Also, my life didn't flash before my eyes or anything like that. But my emotions kind of got some special attention. It was almost like every single emotion I've ever experienced was balled up in front of my face, then force-fed to me. So I relived every emotion, in every quantity, from my entire life, in probably 3 or 4 seconds. After that I was completely emotionless. Just left to ponder what I had done with my life. How I had impacted people's lives, and just how little I've accomplished in my 16 years of life, despite the fact that I've raised thousands of dollars for charities, maintained a 3.8 GPA while taking AP courses a year ahead of my grade, and set 2 state records for powerlifting. All of that was worthless in that moment, and it really fucked me up. The whole emotion thing messed with my emotions even after the fact too. For the first month or so after the whole event, Jay would have random outbursts of either extreme rage and self-loathing, to the point of hitting my own chest and ribs to cause pain, and also huge, sudden dips into depression, lasting for minutes to days where I couldn't rep anything except like I failed. Time was also weird in the void. I was only dead for less than 6 minutes, however, it felt like I was there, completely isolated with nothing but my own shortcomings for months. That also fucked me up and followed me out of the void into my real life. Now the fun part. Coming back to life was an overload of stimulation. While in the void, as I neared the end of the 7 or 8 minutes of activity the brain has after the heart stops beating, everything started to become fuzzy, like it was going out of focus. When the nurses got my heart beating again through CPR, everything snapped back into reality. It all became clear. Suddenly I could hear again. I could see the void fill with light as my eyes slowly opened to see the bright hospital lights overhead. Pain overtook my left side because they had to do CPR on the incision site for the implant. The compressions knocked the implant loose, and it still causes me pain today. The CPR also broke 3 of my ribs, so that hurt like a bitch. But after I was conscious again, I was out of it. I didn't want to talk to anyone because I was so used to being alone at that point. I didn't sleep for 3 days because the sensation of falling asleep was all too similar to that of dying. I still don't sleep much because of that. So yeah. That's pretty much it. Dying is cool, I guess. Now my friends make fun of me for having a negative KD though. I have told this story before, so repost, kinda. I got caught in a pileup/stampede once. It happened after an outdoor event at night, It was freezing cold and many people tried to leave as soon as the event was over. There was a bottleneck at one exit, and people got crushed. 5 dead, many injured. I recall being in a sea of people, unable to move. I got lifted off my feet and got pushed around with the crowd, completely unable to do anything about it. It was kind of fun at first, but soon everyone realized that it was super fucking serious. Then the collapse began. It was like a fracture line with a subduction zone, simply put. Like many others, I got pinned under, on top of some girls and a bunch of people on my back. The girl started to panic and began hyperventilating. I myself was pretty damn stoned, which in retrospect absolutely helped me to stay calm. I instructed her to breathe slowly, in, out, and reassured her that everything would be alright. Total lizard brain survival mode, quench the panic, stay calm. I didn't believe it myself though. She eventually calmed down, and after what seemed ages, an hour, 15 minutes, the pressure from the crowd declined. She got out unharmed. There were a few moments where my brain tried to tell me that this is it, that's how we perish. I kept pushing these thoughts far back. I knew there was potential for panic, and plenty of reasons to be concerned, but I was at great peace. Like a heavy warmth creeping up on me, the desire to let go. Calming and unnerving. Maybe just hypoxia, who knows? I got up, but many people didn't. As I was getting on my feet, I noticed the cranage. Bent, crumpled, bloody. Emergency response personnel was already there, and I just walked up to the nearest EMT who was reanimating a girl, just a few meters away from where I was pinned. We performed CPR on her. She was foaming blood from her mouth from her internal injuries. As I was talking to the EMT, her blood ran from his mouth. After a while someone else took over performing chest compressions. I got up and grabbed a lone shoe that I somehow thought a friend had lost, he in fact did, and it was his shoe, and got the hell away from there. This was before mobile phones, but miraculously the people I was with all managed to meet up outside the venue. No one from our group got injured. Apparently an EMT thanked an unknown helper on TV a few days after. As for how it changed me, I avoided crowds for some time, but that's mostly about it. I debated if I was part of what caused the stampede. Yes, probably, you're not stuck in traffic, you are traffic, but so were hundreds if not thousands of others. It was freezing and the event was over. We were using the designated exit of our sector. And after several years of legal proceedings, the organizers were found guilty of negligence. I don't think I've had any sorts of survivor's guilt, in fact I only learned that that was a thing several years after. The only thing that's sometimes on my mind is the question if I could have done more to help the people that were injured. Technically I did die, but I am alive now, so I guess this counts? I was in a car accident. I hit a tree and the tree won. I was only 17 at the time, and am only alive today due to a series of coincidences. First was I just happened to hit the tree on a property of a guy who was a paramedic, so he instantly got an IV in me and got rescue out to cut me out along with medevac quickly. They thought I was 22, so instead of sending me to the children's hospital I got sent to the #1 trauma center in Texas. My heart stopped in the helicopter ride over, but they were able to restart it. I was immediately put into surgery where I flatlined again. I had to have 86 units of blood, like 50 regular and 36 plasma, before I stopped trying to code. By the time my family found me they were told that I was not going to make it. I had holes in both of my lungs and bilateral chest tubes, so I could breathe, but it was not enough and I was not getting enough oxygen from the respirator. However, luckily the hospital was borrowing a machine to test it that pushed something like 180 breaths a minute, which was enough to keep me breathing. This was great, except they were supposed to send the machine back the next day, so in order for me to use it they had to get special permission. I had so many internal injuries that I could not be closed up, so I was left open under this tent type thing. This became a problem the next day when there was a tornado coming towards the hospital. I could not be moved and my room was on the outside of the hospital with lots of large windows. Well, the tornado suddenly changed directions and then disappeared before it hit the hospital. After something like 11 surgeries I was short 10 inches of colon and a right foot, my left leg was shattered, was only not amputated because my boyfriend was able to find a pulse in my foot. They also had to cut both sides open to let blood pressure out. I had an open book fracture in my pelvis, several broken ribs, broken vertebrae, a trot hole in throat with tubes so I could breathe, a P, and 3 strokes on the right side of my brain. I was stuck in the hospital for 2 months, but I survived. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more real-life creepy encounters around the world. See you in the next video. Bye.